You want to be great and your car's dirty.
Yeah.
You want to be great in your garage, you can't get in your garage. You want to be great and you won't even take time to spend, time with your wife. You won't spend time with your kid. And you say you want to be great, you want to be the best, and you won't even do the things that are simple in your life.
Welcome back to the Growth Over Comfort podcast. I am your co-host, Randy Anderson, joined again by the amazing co-host, Steve Miller.
Absolutely.
Coach Steve Miller.
That's right, fired up.
Yeah, I've been making an impact on social media, I've been seeing.
We're moving. We're up in the mornings trying to get it done.
Yeah, getting that following going and all that.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that's awesome. We got to start posting stuff to our Growth Over Comfort. I got to get things edited. I've already shared this with you, but I'm gonna say it again for the podcast. I did a post the other day that was like, "What is your roadblock?" Like, this is a perfect example. We have filmed. This is our 5th episode.
Absolutely.
I have several of them almost completed, edited. I'm the roadblock. I am the roadblock. So you need to identify roadblocks,
right?
And then when you realize that you are the roadblock, the beautiful thing is that means you can fix it.
Right. I think one of the neatest things in life, and it's also one of the hardest things in life, is you're sitting there looking at where you are.
Yeah.
And there's really 3 things that happen to you that stop you. Your own personal choices and decisions and how you handle time and how you prioritize. Mm-hmm. So that one's there. And then you're looking at other people. Other people just come in and steal stuff and take it away from you. Then we're in a messed up world. We've talked about that. But the first one, if you can control it, you can change it.
Yeah.
And it's going to be hard. You've got to grow, but you can change it.
Oh, yeah.
The other side is you can get comfortable in it and never do it.
Yep.
And then we're just talking. We're just 2 guys talking in a room on a microphone, which is creepy.
Might help each other out some, but I feel like we have a lot of value to offer.
Yeah, I do too.
So I think the goal then is to just get it out there. We got an intro being made, and if you're watching this, you've already seen it, and it's awesome. Then everything's going to be rolling out, and we're going to be getting shorts out and everything. And so that said, if you guys are not following us over on Instagram or maybe even TikTok, if TikTok's still around, who knows, might be banned. Make sure you go follow us. All the links will be in the description down below of wherever you're listening to this or watching this. And we'll get you guys set up on there, and reach out to us, talk with us, give us DMs and stuff, and we'll chat back, and we'll just see how we can help you guys, choose to grow versus choosing comfort. So yeah, that was kind of a fun little jump in point, but I kind of wanted to just chat today about discipline, because I feel like there's a lot of things that a person can have, and a lot of things that a person needs to be successful. But I feel like one of the first things you need to develop is to be consistently successful is discipline. Because I feel like if you do something for a little bit and then you drop off, like, what was the point, right? And is that what do you think of when I say discipline?
I think a lot of people think of pain.
Yeah.
I think they think of, making something uncomfortable for someone. I think they look back to their childhood and think, my mom or dad, maybe didn't handle discipline the way they needed to.
Yeah.
Either they were way too strict, or it was way too harsh, or there was some abuse there, or you're looking at it and they were just way too easy on you, or something like that. Either way, they didn't handle it well. I think people look at discipline sometimes and think that.
Yeah.
And think that's the path. But discipline is completely different. If you're talking about helping someone and you're talking about helping them be disciplined in their life, discipline is what you do for someone. Punishment is what you do to someone. Yeah. So if I'm going to live a disciplined life, it's something that I'm doing for the good of me. Mm-hmm. If I'm just mad at myself and I go out and do some stupid workout because I feel bad about the day or that type, that's a punishment. You're just going and getting something, that you really don't need, that's causing you a problem. But if you're disciplining in yourself and you have discipline in your life, then you're actually taking that and using it for good in your life. Because I'll tell you, I really am not concerned with doing the stuff that I'm doing right now in the mornings. It doesn't interest me, but I'm disciplined enough to do it because there's something that I would like to have.
Yeah.
And when I started that, it was about me, and I want to look a certain way, and I want to feel a certain way. But now I'm starting to realize that because I can be disciplined, because I can handle myself, then I can help some other people as well. I can be a great example. I can actually be an inspiration. I can actually change how their minds work simply because of what I'm doing and how I'm handling discipline in my life. Mm-hmm. And the great part, and I hate the quote, but it's a Nick Saban quote, but he says it takes what it takes. Mm-hmm. So your life and the things that you're disciplined in, and my life and the things that I have to be disciplined in, are two different things. We can't cookie cutter that.
Yeah.
So we need to make sure, number one, that we're handling our own selves the right way, but we also need to make sure that we're helping other people. Mm-hmm. If for instance, if you called me and said, "Hey, listen, I want you to be my accountability partner, and I want you to hold me accountable to this," well, if you were not holding up to what you said you would do, and I didn't go, "Hey, Randy, you need to check up because you said you were going to do this, and now you're quitting." Well, that's not me being hard on you. That's not me trying to discipline you. That's me trying to help you. Mm-hmm. So I think people view it wrong sometimes.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think about discipline sort of kind of what you said, because when I was younger, I was just kind of, my parents allowed me to have a lot of freedom and kind of pick and choose what I wanted to do. And I'm thankful because that led me to where I am today. But then I've met people that had stricter parents, and I see how hardworking they are. And it's not that I'm not a hard worker, but I feel like I had to almost learn that a little bit myself in my early 20s, because I'm just going to be honest, most of the things were easy to me. Like classes and school was easy to me. I very rarely tried very hard,
right?
But I would get B's. And if I did try hard, I would get like straight A's.
Yeah.
So then the times that I tried, I would get straight A's, but then I'd be like, but I don't care. Like no one cares if I get A's. Like that was my thought. Like no one cares. My parents are fine if I get, my parents told me if you get B's, it's okay. So I would just, what did I do? I went to that standard. I got B's.
Right.
So, because I didn't care, I didn't care to do better. So I'm kind of like where you said about, you look at your parents about the lack or the too strictness. And I have found myself saying, I wished my parents had made me a more disciplined person when I was younger.
Yeah.
But I don't know that I would say that, because I am where I am today because of them and many other factors.
Right.
So I'm thankful for my journey. I really am. And I'm also obviously very thankful for my parents and the way they raised me. But I do look now at like in my early 20s and say I had to learn discipline.
Right.
And even then, I'm still learning it today. And this past year with, 75 Hard has been a total mind blast as far as discipline goes.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. So you're talking about you're getting up early and doing everything really early. We've talked about that some in some episodes, but just a short recap of that. You're getting up at like 3:30?
My alarm goes off at 3:28.
Nice. I like how it's not on a round.
No, it's 3:28, and then I'm up.
Yeah.
And I'm real close to that being a habit. And once that becomes a habit in my life, everything changes.
Yeah.
And I've done enough and I'm smart enough to realize that, once your brain shifts to the place that, oh, this is just what we do. Mm-hmm. This is the time we get up.
Yeah.
This is the life we live now. Then it will help and work for you instead of working against you.
Yeah.
Right now it's still working against me. Like Friday morning, I wanted nothing to do with anything when my alarm went off.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm just going to lay here. And I thought, no, it's not what you said you'd do. And you're 10 days away from a habit.
Yeah.
So I'm working real hard to get to that. One of the things, and I think going back to what we talked about, so that we don't miss parents, there's so many people right now that get caught up in, well, I was treated this way when I was a kid, or this happened to me when I was a kid. And they take that and go completely off the rail.
Yeah.
And then they blame that situation for the life that they live.
Yes. Yeah, they do.
and their life's all unraveled and tangled up, and it's a mess. And they blame those situations. And then you take people that have the same type situations, and they look at it and go, that's the reason I'm successful.
Exactly.
That's the reason I'm growing. Yeah. That's the reason I am what I am today.
Yeah.
And I think that mindset, wherever you are in life right now, if you're dealing with that and you're looking at that and you go, well, I'm messed up because.
Right.
Shift that. Shift that. I would shift it the minute you hear me say this. Shift that and go, I'm not messed up because. I'm capable of winning because. And move it to that side and have that mindset. And just watch things change. 100%. Watch it shift. Take responsibility. Boy, that's a big word today.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, because if you say that I'm messed up because of this, you've now given whatever that thing is all the power.
Yeah.
And you have no power to fix it yourself. But I mean, for my example, even I ended up learning a lot of discipline in my early 20s, and my first couple of real jobs. And then when I started my own businesses and my own, ventures, I learned a lot more. I'm still learning a ton of that. And I don't know that I would have done it all I don't know if I would have done it all if my parents had been any different. I'm reminded actually of a story that I've heard, and it's cliche at this point probably to say it, but there's two sons with a dad, and the dad was a raging alcoholic, and he was awful. And the first son is also an alcoholic, and people talk to him and say, "Why are you an alcoholic?" And he says, "Because my dad was an alcoholic." The other son doesn't even touch alcohol, and he hates the thought of him going down that path. And he says, "Why are you not an alcoholic? Why don't you drink?" And he says, "Because my dad was an alcoholic."
Oh, that's pretty good.
It's they both have the exact same situation, and they both have the exact same reason, because my dad was an alcoholic, but two different mindsets. One of them was, I don't want to be like that. And one of them is, he's the reason I am the way I am.
Right.
And one of them has given complete power over to his father, and the other has taken the power for himself and said, I will not be this way.
Yeah. I think one of the things that's really helpful for me, I read a chapter of Proverbs every day, and Proverbs is filled with how to handle your kids.
Yeah.
Now, it's filled with how to gain wisdom. It's filled with how to handle your life. But if you have kids, it's filled with how to handle your kids. And people are like, I just don't know what to do with my kid. Man, he's out of control. I'm like, he's 6. If he's 18, you might have a problem, but he's 6.
Yeah.
The Bible's clear in how to handle that and what to do. Mm-hmm. And then you think about, the story of the prodigal son in the Bible, where he just said, I don't want any part of how you're teaching or leading. And he's talking to his father that way. And he's like, give me what's mine. And he goes and blows it all. And the other son stayed there.
Yeah.
And then the story is magical. So I would go read the story, especially the end of the story, and see what you get there, because how they handle themselves in that story is really unique.
Yeah.
And then how the father treats each one of them is really unique in the end. So I would encourage you to read that.
I have always been confused by the ending, because at times I have always thought that I was the son at home.
Yeah.
And he's very upset. I mean, again, like if anyone doesn't know the story, you can go read it. But
right.
I've always, he's very upset. I've been with you the entire time. Now you're killing the fattened calf for this son of yours who squandered your wealth. And, the father, who is God, says, you've always been with me, but he is not, and he was lost, and he came back. But so it's funny, because I've always thought, if I were is he the older brother or younger?
He's older, I think.
I think he's older, yeah.
Yeah.
The son who is at home. If I was him, I would have thought those things, but I never would have said them. I mean, just being honest, right. I don't think I'm confrontational at times, but I'm not that confrontational. I mean, maybe he was just to that point fed up. I don't know.
I think it's a very clear story of us not understanding.
Yeah.
Really what God does for us.
Yeah.
God puts us in situations because we are with him that we don't understand what we're getting. Mm-hmm. Maybe your family's healthy. Maybe the car you're driving keeps going and it wasn't supposed to. Maybe the job you have is way better than it should be. Maybe your parents are still healthy. Maybe life is way better because you're living in God's presence and with God than it would be without him.
Yeah.
And we don't realize, we take for granted, we're not grateful. We're not thankful for everything that we're given, and we start to resent things. Because I'll be straight up. There's times that I look at some of these guys on TV, some of these rock stars, some of these movie stars, and I think, God, man, never wanted to be a rock star, but that looks pretty cool. And he lives like a heathen over there.
Yeah.
And then it'll be 3 or 4 years, and you'll hear some tragic story about their life and how it just unraveled and fell apart.
Yeah.
And we all make mistakes and do things, but there's a difference in living that.
Yep.
And living close to God.
Yep. You're exactly right. And I think a lot of that unraveling is already happening when you see them in the spotlight.
Oh, 100%.
I think that, they do a really good job. I mean, I'm not trying to make a generalization about celebrities, but I think there's a lot of celebrities that get in front of a microphone like this or a camera, and they seem like they've got it all together and they're happy, but underneath, like, there's, and I'm not even talking about, anything bad, but even just their happiness, their joy. Sure. I feel like they're also probably wondering, is this it?
Yeah.
Like, this was, don't get me wrong, it's fun, and there's a lot of fun there, but is that it? Yeah. I'm a producer for another podcast called The Salty Podcast with one of my clients.
Awesome.
Her name is Devin Cordell, and she just had a guest on, and that podcast actually released like 3 hours today. But the guest is Madison Watkins, and she's from Nashville, or she's from LA. No, she's from the Midwest. It doesn't matter. She's
from somewhere in the country.
Yeah, she was in the middle of the country, and then she moved to LA, and now she's in Nashville. Anyway, she was on American Idol, and she's now a singer-songwriter, very successful, has a ton of stuff following, all that. And she talked on the podcast about how she was in LA, and she everything that the world had to offer, she tried.
Oh, wow.
And all of it left her wanting more. It was unfulfilling.
Yeah.
And that's when she was already faith-based Christian at the time, but she was, that was her prodigal story, to bring it back. And she realized, hey, this is not fulfilling me, but I already know what will fulfill me, and that's Jesus. And the thing is, and the beautiful thing too is, Jesus was with her the entire time. Jesus is as close as he ever is right now. He's as close to you as he is right now. And even when you're in the middle of a terrible time or a storm or a sin, he's still there. Like, he's right there. So throughout all of that she was going through, Jesus was right there, and she just had to realize that. And she finally, she actually said, when she moved away from some toxic things, a toxic relationship, came back to Nashville. And that's when she actually felt sort of convicted, because she goes, you're making all these songs that are doing really well with all these people, but you're not singing about the most important relationship in your life, which is Jesus.
Yeah.
And so she's now starting, I don't know the details of it, but they kind of hint at it on the podcast. You should go listen to the Salty Podcast. I'll put a link in the description.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I look forward to meeting them.
Yeah, and anyway, it was a really good story about how it won't fulfill you. Talking about these celebrities and everything, like that was just on my mind. Nothing there will fulfill you. It's fun. She said it was fun. I mean, it is. It's fun for a while, but you end up going, is this it? Like, this is not fulfilling. It's not enough.
Right. And I think one of the big things people often miss is the people that you're around, the environment that you're in. You can control those things.
Oh, yeah.
And once you get control of those things, you can pick and choose. I am not going to be around negative people. Yeah. I'm not going to hang out in those situations. I'm not going to be around environments that lead me the wrong way anymore. I'm going to stay as far away as I can stay now from situations that I know, okay, I can't handle that.
Yeah.
And because I can't handle that, I'm not even going over there. Mm-hmm. And I think that's, when you're talking discipline, one of the things I think people think they have choices in life, and they don't have choices. You don't really have a choice, and we've talked about it before. You don't really have a choice.
Yeah.
You don't really, there's really not an option. You have decisions, and that means to just cut things away. So if you want certain things, you have to cut certain things away. I'm literally on a fitness journey. And I hope that shows over time, because, right now I was stuck in like the 230, 231 range for 2 weeks. And I'm like, I'll never see 29. I don't know where the 9's at. I don't know where the 2's at. I'm not seeing it.
Yeah.
It's not showing up. And this morning, 29 showed up.
Hey.
So I holler, and I holler at my wife, Cindy, and I'm like, hey, Cindy, there's a 9. I finally got a 9. And she goes, man, that's amazing. You know, from 230 to 199. And I went, no, she said, you saw a 2. And I went, yeah, you're right. I saw a 2. But I've been looking the whole time for the 9. What I should have been looking for is the 2.
That's hilarious.
So,
wow.
but those journeys and the discipline doesn't always allow for instant gratification.
Yeah.
You know, undiscipline allows for instant gratification, but discipline, that's a long play.
It is. Yeah.
You know, in anything, finances, marriage relationships, all of those things, it's a long play to be disciplined. You want to be married and stay married and be a part of that. Be disciplined in your marriage.
Yes.
Be mindful of your spouse.
Mm-hmm. So let's talk about discipline, effective discipline. Is that, for me, what that I think of, and I think you do too, because we're both doing it, 75 hard.
Sure.
We're in different phases though. An example of that is one of my tasks that I have to do every day is a 5-minute cold shower.
Sure.
At my part of the journey. And so yesterday I needed to go take a shower quickly to get ready. And let me just tell you what I normally do. I normally go outside, run, and I lift weights, and I get real hot and sweaty.
Sure.
And then I go in there and turn on the cold shower, and I'm just like, whoa, it's really cold. It's still really cold. But because I'm so hot and sweaty, I'm just like, after 30 seconds, I'm like, this is not bad. Not bad. I like it. I like it. So yesterday, I was like, I got to take a shower real quick to get ready to go to church. And so I jumped in the shower, and my timer is up here. I can see it, my timer, and it's ready for me. It's got 5 minutes on it. And I was like, I could knock out my cold shower. And then I thought in my head, but I'm not sweaty or hot. Right. I'm like, I don't care. Cold shower, go, start timer. Because in my mind, I was there, and I saw the shower, and I saw the timer, and I was like, I need to do a cold shower. That's what I'm supposed to do right here. So I did it. And was it colder? Yeah. But it was still good. Like, it wasn't bad. Like, it was great. Another example of that is another daily task of mine is I need to improve something around the house every day. Because, like, there's things you can improve as far as, like, doing stuff for your wife or cleaning or whatever. And it's kind of an open-ended thing. But most of the time what that is I will clean the kitchen if it's late at night or whatever. And yesterday, I spent a lot of time improving the house.
Sure.
I cleaned up a lot of things. I helped put a post in a cement thing, whatever. I did a lot of things. But then last night, I was going to bed, and I looked at the kitchen, and it was a mess. Mm-hmm. And I thought in my head, I've already done my task. But one of my things I've been doing is cleaning the kitchen every night. Right. I was just like, we're going to clean this. So I cleaned it, you know? And in my head, it's like I've zoned in my discipline to be like, this is just who you are. You clean these things because that's what's expected of you. Is that, do you think that the small tasks that we build up in our day-to-day, do you think those eventually work into habits? Like, is that discipline? What do you think?
I don't think habits are discipline. I think habits are how your brain works to work for you.
Yeah.
I think discipline's two things. There's consistency. So if you're going to be a disciplined person, there has to be consistency. Mm-hmm. It's first. With anything you're doing with discipline. If you're doing discipline with kids, the worst thing you can do for a kid is hold them accountable for something and then not hold them accountable for it for 2 or 3 weeks. Then go back and hold them accountable for it and then not hold them accountable for it. The other thing is that you literally do what you say you will do.
Yeah.
Now, that's with yourself, and I hate it, but the number one thing that we do is lie to ourselves.
Yeah.
We lie to ourselves more than we lie to anybody else. We lie to everybody else too. But we lie to ourselves way more than we do anybody else. Mm-hmm. And then eventually we just stop believing in ourselves because we told ourselves over and over and over again that, hey, you're going to do this, but you don't.
Right. So
you have to do what you say you're going to do. And it has to be in a way that matters to that person. So when you see it happen, when you see whatever it is, and you go, okay, the next time you do this, this happens.
Yeah.
Well, guess what has to happen? That. And it's uncomfortable, and it's not pleasant. And if you're dealing with a person, a lot of times they'll hate you for it initially, but at the end of the day, it's the best possible thing. Because if you become that person in your own life, it's paramount. But in someone else's life, if you become that person, they won't like it for a while, but they'll eventually start circling around going, hey, I was thinking about this. What do you think? And you'll become like their mentor. You'll become like the person they lean on.
Yeah.
Because you'll be the person in their life that when it's uncomfortable, when it doesn't feel good, you'll still say, no, you're not doing that.
Yeah.
And it's big. It matters.
Oh, yeah. That makes me think of one of my relationships I have with a guy I work with named Lance. Lance is a guy that we do websites together.
Okay.
And we do some other things too, but websites mainly. And I would give him back a website, and after I'd made it, he designs it and then talks to the client and figures all that stuff out, and then I'd develop it. And so then when I gave it back to him, I would get these, like my first time that I was working with him, I was shocked because I'd get back like 40 edits on the website. And it was things like, hey man, I think that this container is just 2 pixels too wide. And I'm like, 2 pixels? Like, so if you're not a computer guy, like, there's 2 pixels is minuscule. Like it is tiny.
Right.
And so I've had other clients where they might have noticed that, but they wouldn't have cared. They'd be like, who cares? Not Lance. Lance notices. Lance got his ruler on the screen.
Yeah.
Not really, but he does. Like he takes a screenshot of the website I give him on that's live, and then he goes to his design and puts them on top of each other. And if they don't line up perfectly, back, you got to go do it again.
Yeah.
Fix it.
And you probably hated that.
I did.
I mean, there's probably, and I talk about the little man all the time. There's a little man inside of us that we've got to kill.
Yeah.
He's jumping up and down, screaming all the time, wanting us to do stuff we're not supposed to do, or be upset when somebody holds us accountable to something that we know we need to be held accountable to. He just don't like it.
Yeah.
So we need to squash that guy.
Yeah, we do.
But the big thing in that is I bet you became a better web designer.
Yeah.
Because of that.
100%. Oh, I'm a ton better. And now what's funny is that mindset has bled to every other client where every other client now is like, I never worry about Randy's stuff because it's always, I mean, like, sure, there's a few edits here and there.
Sure.
But then like, I didn't work with Lance for a while. And then I started working with him again. And I gave him a website, and I just like grinned as I gave him the website, and I'm just like, here it comes, because even with me, like where I'm at now, he's always going to find more,
sure,
and that's fine,
sure,
and I don't hate it now at all.
And you're a grown man, but the 12-year-old in you is excited because you're turning in something that is good.
Yeah. Well, I know it's good, but I also laugh because I know he will find.
Oh yeah.
He will find the 2 pixels somewhere, and he'll mention them, but it's okay. We'll fix them,
right?
And it'll be a better product because he says that we always want to deliver excellence.
Yeah,
is his thing.
One of my favorite stories, and I may have shared this. If I did, that's fine. I'll probably share a bunch of stuff. I'm getting older, but there's a story where a booster at Alabama was talking about like the end of Mike Shula's deal, and he just happened to be looking at the sideline and noticed that the sideline was really dirty.
Yeah.
And like there was stuff everywhere. And he said, Nick Saban comes in, and he said, wasn't really paying attention, but something happened the first game, and he notices that the sideline is perfectly clean, like they had never even played a game there. And I thought, well, those little bitty things matter a lot.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why they're good. Because everybody else plays football with great athletes on that level. Everybody else coaches and have strength conditioning guys. Everybody else has a meal program and nutritionist on that level.
Right.
Well, what separates? Is it really down to, hey, I put my cup in the trash like I was supposed to? Maybe it is.
I think if you take care of the little things, it shows that you also take care of the big things. Yeah. I think there's a lot to that. And I think even before we even started talking, before we hit record today, we talked about how it's a numbers thing. like we talked about how if you're putting out 2 pieces of content a week,
Sure.
you're going to get a result. But if you put out 8 pieces of content a week, you're going to, triple that or whatever.
Right.
You're going to double, triple your inputs, outputs.
Yeah.
I think it's similar with those small things. Like if you make sure that you have a clean house, a clean car, all those things, I think those things bleed over into each other. I think that if you have a messy desk at work, which by the way, I have a messy desk. It's not super messy, but it's probably not as clean as it should be. So I'm speaking to myself here. To myself here. If you have a messy desk at work, you probably have a messy desktop. You probably have a messy mind. Like you probably aren't as organized as you need to be.
Yeah.
But I feel like if you start organizing all of it together, like it's going to bleed over to everything else.
I follow Tim Grover, who was Michael Jordan's trainer, Kobe Bryant's trainer for years, and he's very detailed, and he's a great speaker, but he's also very challenging. And one of the things he said, and I'm still not there, but it sure does challenge me to look at myself different and to look at things like you just talked about different. One of the things he said, there's a lot of you sitting here wanting to be great. He said, you still have clothes in your closet you haven't worn in 10 years.
Yeah.
He said, you want to be great, and you want to clean out your closet.
Yeah.
You want to be great, and your car's dirty.
Yeah.
You want to be great in your garage, you can't get in your garage.
Yeah.
You want to be great, and you won't even take time to spend time with your wife. You won't spend time with your kid. You want to be great, and you won't do the things that you are easy that you need to do.
Right.
But you won't even do the easy things.
Right.
And you say you want to be great, you want to be the best, and you won't even do the things that are simple in your life.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. That's really good. Yeah. Speaking about wife, that reminds me of something I heard last night from Andy Elliott, which Andy Elliott's kind of polarizing to me sometimes because he's very tough. He's a tough guy. But he said, you spend more time going after leads, going after clients, making them happy than you do your wife. When if you got a doctor's note today, all your clients would be gone, but your wife would still be there.
Yeah.
So, that hit me hard because I'm not saying like I'm a terrible husband or anything, but I could be better for sure.
Yeah. I think we all can be better.
I could choose to grow over just being comfortable in that relationship, Yeah,
absolutely. And I talked about that a little bit this morning, just how you value people.
Yeah, I like that message.
Yeah, how important it is to take time to actually value people.
Yeah.
Take some focus off yourself.
Yeah.
I wish I were not as human as I am because, I still care about me more than I care about you.
Right.
But I'm trying to move more toward, hey, what does this look like for Randy?
Right.
Or what does this look like for Cindy?
Yeah.
My attitude was horrible today toward some situation, in our life that really wasn't that bad. There's no reason for that.
Yeah.
How do I change that and start valuing people in a way that actually reflects something in their life that matters?
Like, what can I do next time?
Yeah, what can I do next time?
Because this situation is gonna happen again.
Sure it will.
So how can I improve? How can I grow?
Right, how can I grow? And it's not comfortable. We talk about it all the time. It should be, but it's not.
Right, yeah. Thank you guys so much for watching today's episode, listening to today's episode of the Growth Over Comfort podcast. We are going on, what is this, episode 5?
It's episode 5.
This will be episode 5. So thank you guys for sticking around. If you haven't already, then follow us. Make sure you subscribe if we're on YouTube. Follow us on Instagram. I'll put links in the show notes so you guys can check out our other stuff because, Steve mentioned about posting a video. He posts some of those videos on his Instagram, so you need to go check that out and make sure you're following him and follow me and chat with us on there. But yeah, that's it for today. Hope you guys are choosing to grow versus being too comfortable. And we'll see you guys soon. Bye.
Bye. You have a great day.